Most common things we run into is how do you properly wire up this air handler. So with ICP, and just to kind of explain a few things with ICP, is they have every one of these big labels on a piece of equipment and on the wires. We're going to go over exactly what label that is and where that wire goes, and then we'll kind of show you exactly how to wire it up so that you don't have any issues. Because one of the most common problems we have is this wire here, which is labeled Y out to fan coil. And a lot of people are taking this and they're cutting this wire because the old air handler had a pigtail that came out of this cap and had a white wire, and you would wire that to your white terminal on your thermostat. Well, you don't have to do none of that on this model. So that's why we're kind of going to go through this and show you this. So I'm going to get a closer up view of what we have here in just a second, and then we're going to go through this one wire at a time. So what I've done is I've taken my wire from my condensing unit, and I just put some black electrical tape on it so you could actually see and know this is a condensing unit thermostat wire. This is the actual wire from the thermostat. Alright, so we got our red wire. Then you have your red wire here, red R to thermostat. So we're going to tie these together. Alright, and then next we're going to go with our common. And most people, the ICP on this one is using brown this year. So we got brown on the common, and so I'm going to take and use my brown on my thermostat wires. A lot of the people use the blue. It's kind of, you can use either one. I mean, as long as you know which one it is. You could use black if you wanted to use black, but we're just using for this video and this example. I usually use brown just because that's what they're using, and that way I can keep everything straight. So. Alright, so we got our red and we got our brown. Now we're going to go with our white wire. This is my thermostat. So this one says, like we showed a while ago, white out to fan coil. You don't do anything to it. It's already hooked to the fan coil. So you can actually keep from getting confused. Tuck that one away out of the way. And this one here says white into thermostat. So I'm going to take the white and I'm going to tie it here. Now, the other thing too is your condensing unit has a white. There's nothing in these wires that say out to condensing unit. So you're going to take your white wire from your condensing unit, and you're going to go just like you always did, and you're going to tie those two whites together going into the thermostat. Okay? So our whites are done. Now we're going to come up to our green, and this is G into thermostat. And we've got our unit wired up, and we are now going to give it a call to come on. Now you can see in the idle position, which means there's no call coming into it. You see the amber light is on solid. So now we're going to give it a call for cooling, and we've moved this other way where you can actually see the condensing unit, because I want you to hear how quiet this system runs. And then we're going to talk about some other things here in just a second. Now, condensing unit's on. Now the blower motor comes on. So we've already hooked it up, went through its cycle, and you can always go through. There's part of this. Most of the issues I run into is the fact that it's usually a wire that's loose or something not wired up, and that's where your issue's at. Now, what I want to do is I want to kind of cover real quick the problems that we run into that we actually see going on in the field. And those problems are if the amber light is on and the blower motor is not running, then it's waiting on a call to come on. If the amber light is on and the blower motor's running but you don't have a call for AC to come on, then it is sensing there's a leak somewhere, or there's something that's not right with the system. So then you have to look, and you can pull your speed tap wire here off, and if the blower motor stops, that's where the call's coming in. These and I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. These new 454B units and this new control board, these motors are wired up with their 2.8, 230 at all times, and in the 24 volt is your switch. So when it sees 24 volts, it's going to come on. Now we're in cool mode on this, so we're going to have power 24 volts coming on this blue wire. If we were in heat, power would be coming on the white wire. Now, here's what I want to do. We're in cool mode, and here's something that every installer should do before they leave the job site, is there's a test button. Hold it in 1001, 1002. It's going to go into test mode. It instantly shuts this off, which what it does is simulate and there's a leak. And this unit comes off, blower motor's running, it's dispersing any refrigerant from the leak. You see the flash, that one flash means it is in dissipation mode. So this will go through a test for 60 seconds. At the end of 60 seconds, everything will shut off. It'll go right back into cool mode and pick up and carry on again. That's how you know everything's working right. So let's see what it does. Alright. Amber light went solid. So it's out of dissipation mode. Test is over. Unit still hadn't kicked on yet. So now you may be going through a time delay. So still, don't panic. Let it run through its course. Be patient with it. Because all these, they've added in some timers. So this thing's going to run a few minutes. Then you'll be on your delay with your compressor delay 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes 8, depending on what thermostat you have. So wait about that long, and the condenser unit should kick right back on, just like it should, because we're still getting a call for cooling. So real quick, while we're waiting for the condenser unit to come on, we're going to go over real quick what the wiring diagram is. You have a yellow in to thermostat. So your solid yellow goes straight to the thermostat wire. Your green is G in to the thermostat. It goes to the thermostat only. Your reversing valve, it goes straight to the outdoor unit. You have your yellow for the outdoor unit is attached to yellow with purple. And then your white wire, both of them, from the condenser unit and the thermostat, will go to the white here that is labeled white in to thermostat. So your condenser unit and your thermostat will go to this wire here. You do not have to worry about this other yellow wire like you normally would. That's where you would tap into with your thermostat. Do not cut those wires. If it has a factory connection on it, it's made to stay connected, not cut. So keep that in mind. So that's usually what we see in the field, is that either the common wire is not tied in, either this is tied in or broken with a float switch, or we see where the green wire is tapped into the condensing unit, or we'll see where they cut this white wire here to tap in to the air handler or the heat strips or whichever way. But those are issues that I see. The other thing I see is if you have a bad board for whatever reason, maybe you shorted the board out, and that happens too, or maybe it's just a bad board out of the box, that happens as well. You'll see the light not come on and the blower motor stay running. Sometimes that is a sign of a bad board. Then I've seen it where if you go through the test cycle and then it comes back and it's flashing a code, you could have a bad sensor. So that's why when we install these, we always want to make sure we got it wired up right, and then we're going to go through the test process, and we're going to do test and cooling, and then it's going to come back, and at the end we'll make sure the condenser unit comes on, and then you go through a heat cycle, test it in the heat cycle, make sure it comes back on, and your heat kicks on like it's supposed to. And then we're going to talk about airflow. Why is airflow so important on the 454B unit? It's because of the dissipation process. If there is a leak, how they dissipate this refrigerant to keep any flames or sparks or anything possibly from happening is you introduce an oversaturation of oxygen, which means basically we're going to blow all this refrigerant up through the ductwork, and out through the home. Now, it's odorless, so you can tell your homeowners you're not going to smell a leak. It's all odorless, and it's not harmful because it's the same thing. Now you see our timer went out and our condenser unit kicked on, so it's back in AC mode. Now, so you can hear how quiet it is. These units are made to be that quiet. If you hear louder noises, or you hear strain, or you hear any kind of rattling, rattling's not normal. There was some compressors that when it shut off it would make a rattling sound, and that was because Copeland took the check-off valve or check valve out of the top of the compressors, and I think they went back and cured that on these new ones. But there's a lot of things that we'll talk about in future videos, but the main thing is how to wire this up and make sure you have it wired up and be successful. Now, we'll have some more videos posted soon, so we hope that helps you and hope that answers some of your questions.